I never thought the word mom would disappear from my life. Not with anger, not with a fight, just quietly, like I never mattered. For years, my son called me mom every single day, in the morning, at night, even when he had nothing important to say. Then one day, he stopped. No explanation, no warning, just silence. That was the day I realized I wasn't losing my son suddenly, I was losing him slowly. And this is my story. I raised my son alone after his father died when he was 6. I still remember the way he held my hand at the funeral and asked where his dad went. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, skipped meals so he could eat, wore old clothes so he could have new ones. Every sacrifice I made was for him. At night, I sat beside his bed and watched him sleep. That was my peace, my reward. He used to whisper, "Good night, Mom, I love you," every single night. Then he grew up, fell in love, and got married. I was happy, truly happy. On his wedding day, I cried with pride and believed I was gaining a daughter. But after marriage, things changed. My calls became shorter, my messages went unanswered. Days passed, then weeks. When I finally heard his voice again, he didn't say, "Hi, Mom." He said, "Yes?" That one word hurt more than silence. I stopped calling every day, then every week, then not at all. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't want to beg my own child for attention. I saw photos online, family dinners, vacations, smiles, and I wasn't in any of them. One day I visited his house. His wife opened the door, looked at me, and said he was busy. Busy. I stood there holding a small gift, feeling like a stranger. Months later, my son finally visited me. No hug, no warmth. He sat down and said, "Mom, you don't need to call so often anymore." So often. I used to be his world. Now I was a problem. That night, I cried quietly. Not loudly, just silently, like someone learning how to disappear. I stopped reaching out, stopped reminding him who I was, stopped chasing love. Instead, I focused on myself, my health, my peace. I learned something important. Silence is not weakness. Sometimes it's strength. Years passed. Then one evening, my phone rang. It was my son. His voice sounded tired, different. He said, "Mom, I miss you." We talked for hours. He apologized, not perfectly, but honestly. Then I said one sentence: "I never stopped loving you. I just stopped chasing you." There was silence. Then he said the words I waited years to hear: "Mom, I'm sorry." If you're a parent listening to this and you feel forgotten, remember this: love doesn't disappear. Sometimes it just waits. Thank you for listening.
After that phone call, I did not sleep because my heart felt heavy, not angry. When you wait years to hear one sentence and it finally comes, your mind does not celebrate it. It questions it. I kept replaying his voice, wondering if those words were real or if loneliness had simply pushed him back to me for comfort. As a mother, you never stop worrying. Even when your child hurts you, you still worry about their pain more than your own. The next morning, I made coffee and sat by the window watching people pass, couples holding hands, children laughing, mothers rushing toward school buses. Life kept moving forward even when my heart felt stuck in the past. And I realized something important. While I had been waiting quietly for my son to return, I had also been learning how to live without him. And that strength did not disappear just because he called. A few days later, he visited again. This time, he did not stand near the door. He sat down slowly, like someone unsure of where they belonged. He looked around the house and said softly, "You have not changed anything." I smiled and said, "This house remembers who I am." He stayed quiet and nodded. The silence that followed was different, not painful, just honest. He told me life had not been as easy as it looked from the outside. Marriage brought responsibilities he was not prepared for, expectations he did not understand, and somewhere along the way, trying to be a good husband, he forgot how to be a good son. Hearing Matt did not erase the past, but it explained it, and sometimes understanding is the first step toward healing. I did not interrupt him. I did not correct him. I did not list the nights I cried or the days I waited by the phone. I let him speak because mothers do not need apologies wrapped in perfect words. They need truth. And for the first time in years, he was telling me the truth. He asked why I never confronted him, why I never showed up angry, why I never demanded respect. I looked at him and said, because love is not proven by how loudly you speak. It is proven by how long you can stay kind, even when you are hurt. He lowered his head. That sentence stayed with him longer than any accusation ever could. Weeks passed and things slowly changed. He started calling again. Not every day, but more than before. Sometimes just to ask how I was feeling. Sometimes just to listen. I did not expect everything to return to how it once was. I did not want that. I wanted something better, something honest, a relationship built on respect, not obligation. One evening, his wife called me, her voice hesitant. She admitted she never understood how much I had sacrificed and how she misread my silence. I listened without defending myself, without explaining my pain, and simply said, "We all learn when life is ready to teach us." That was enough. I learned that silence does not mean absence. Sometimes it means boundaries. Sometimes it means survival. And sometimes it means you trust time more than arguments. As mothers, we are taught to give endlessly, but no one teaches us how to step back with dignity. I learned that on my own. Today, I still live alone. My life is simple, quiet, peaceful. My son visits. Sometimes he calls me mom again, not with the innocence of childhood, but with awareness. And that matters more, because now when he says it, he understands what that word cost me. If you are listening to this and you feel forgotten by the child you raised, remember this: you are not invisible, you are not weak, and your silence is not failure. Sometimes the loudest lesson you can teach is the one delivered without raising your voice. Love waits, time teaches, and hearts, when ready, always find their way back home.